Hi, everybody, and Happy New Year, and welcome to our first installment of 2021 of Fly Tie Live here with Piscari Fly. I'm Peter Driver here in Kilkenny, and we're going to have a bit of Saturday night fly tying online for the next couple of hours. So stay tuned. We got some stuff planned, and let's kick off the new year with a little bit of fun, bit of fly tying. If you're online, drop by, say hello, and great to see us. Great to have you all back online tonight. There, James Gibson, how you doing? Good to be back, James. Good to be back. We had a week off last week. Hope everybody really enjoyed the Christmas special. Huge thanks to everybody who contributed to the Christmas special. It was fantastic. The response we got was fantastic. So hope you all really enjoyed it. All those fly tires and hi, Declan Smith. Hi, Billy Boland. Happy New Year to yourself, Graham. How you doing, Graham? Patrick Smith is on there as well. Hope everyone is good. And Luca, Happy New Year to you too, my friend. Miles Riley's on there. Thomas Ankertel, Happy New Year. Michael McGlynn, Yano. Dave Egan, how you doing, Dave? Paul Jenkins. These are all on there now. It's great to see so many people back. Kieran Sherlock. Hope you're all keeping well. Graham Lonigan, Happy New Year to yourself as well. Happy New Year to everybody. Probably didn't get off to the greatest starts in 2021, did we? Between coronavirus and Mr. Trump, it's been hi Peter Doherty, hi Colin Healy, Declan Noon's on there as well. Happy New Year to you all. Look, we're going to have a bit of fun tonight. Do a bit of fly tying. Brian Canty, Darius is on there as well. Hope he's all well. We got the usual lineup tonight. We're going to do some fly tying tonight, and after the response I got from the Christmas special, with some of the guest hires and stuff like that, we are going to have a guest hire on again tonight. So, following our Christmas special, a real good friend of mine, not from Ireland, said he would tie a fly for our show. So we're going to have that later on. Okay, not going to give too much away. Going to save it, but what a special treat that's going to be. Okay, this is something that's not seen too often. Very probably one of the top nymph patterns around for a long time, and this guy is going to show us the tying. We're going to introduce him later on. How you doing, Martin Fennessy? Michael Scully's on there. Eugene, how you doing? So drop by, say hello. Anybody got any news or anything to cheer us all up with? By all means, do put it up there on the feed. Hit the share button. Let's get a few people on. Dave might be along. See, Dave Donovan's on there. Paul Jenkins is on. Neil Hammerton is on. Dave will have a trivia quiz for us, so we got a nice spot prize for people later on. And trying to think now. So what we said we were going to do this evening is some wet flies, river wet flies. Okay, it's something that I can say is not being completely neglected over the last number of years, but it's definitely something that's maybe not in kind of your top two approaches to river fishing, catching fish. I think this year we've seen a real good example of how effective it can be in the Thomastown competition. There was an awful lot of guys that were catching. There was an awful lot of guys catching fish on spiders and stuff at the Thomastown fly fishing competition. Just gone, the year gone, should I say. But definitely, it is something that every fly competitive or general fly fisher, recreational fly fisher, I should say, should have in their arsenal and should put a bit of work and effort into. I would absolutely be one of those people that don't put enough work into my wet fly fishing. I know it's important. I certainly do it. I never go to the river without a box of wet flies, but I just, because the Euro nymphing is so predominant and so productive, we never really think, is wet fly going to outfish it? And, to answer that, definitely, there is days where wet flies fished properly can outfish nymphs. So it's something we got to work on. It's something we can't forget. It is a very traditional way of fly fishing. I know it's the way I grew up fly fishing. Started off anyway with wet fly, and got plenty of trout then. And there's still guys out there today that are catching lots of fish. I know personally Dave Donovan I have a lot of experience watching Dave wet fly fish, and when the fish are on the wets, you're not going to match him. The kind of way you're going to. He's going to outfish you at least 2 or 3 to 1. So it is something to work on. So we got some patterns tonight that do work. that have worked well for myself and Dave over the years and others. And we're going to tie some of them. And there's a little bit of history to some of them as well, which is always good to have a bit of a story. So how you doing, Greg? Martin Fennessy, Alex is on there from Australia. How you doing, Alex? Hope you're all keeping well down there. Michael Dwyer's on. Great to see so many people on. So we've got a special guest coming. We got a spot prize later on and a few other things that for the night. So stay with us here for the next little while. And hi, Robert from Scotland. Hi, John Coughlin. Happy New Year to one and all as well. So we're going to kick off a bit of flight time here, and we're going to start with an old favourite of mine. Okay, now this is a pattern. Hi, Paul Burke. This is an old pattern. One you're not going to find too many about. It'll be very interesting to see how many people online have actually came across the Wicklow Killer. Now, I'm from Rathdrum, County Wicklow, so the Wicklow Killer was a fly that was always in my box. Beautiful old traditional wet fly, and hi Patrick Phelan, and it's definitely one that does catch fish. But anybody on there that has ever came across a Wicklow Killer, you're not going to find too much about it on Google. I have no idea what is the name of the man that tied it. The only real reference I have found of the Wicklow Killer is in Paul Malone or E.J. Malone's Irish Trout and Salmon Flies. And if you go to page, if anyone has a copy of this is a fantastic book, by the way. If anybody has a copy of it, well worth, or if you pick up one. Hi, Alex from Arizona. If anyone has a copy of it for good traditional Irish trout and salmon patterns, this is, and on page 246, he has the Wicklow Killer here. He gives the tie-in of it, but no information about it. So if anybody has ever, we're going to tie it now here in a second, but if anybody has ever came across it, there, Graham Reggie Reynolds, living abroad now. He's actually it's for brown trout as well, Robbie, as well as sea trout. Yeah, it is a great book, Neil. But on the Vartu River in County Wicklow, that the Wicklow Killer was a great sea trout fly. We used to fish it on the Avonmore for brown trout, and I always remember when I was growing up, I grew up with my dad and Uncle Colin wet fly fishing, and then my dad and Uncle Colin wet fly fishing. And if there was a small tinge of colour on the water, there was two wet flies we fished all the time. At least have one of or the other, or even sometimes both on. Come on, Joe, roll on the 15th. Yeah, Jesus, it can't come quick enough for a lot of people. Unfortunately, we won't be open here till the 17th of March, but look, it'll be great to be looking forward to getting back out. Something to look forward to anyway, getting back out in the water soon. So we would never fish without a Wickham's Fancy or a Wicklow Killer. If we were, if there was a small tinge on the river, and it's fantastic. Trevor Noonan says that book is as rare as hen's teeth now. It's probably a hard enough book to find. I'm lucky enough, I've always been collecting books since I was a young lad, and I've kept most of them. And it's a real good reference book, really good, some fantastic old patterns in there. And that's the only book I can actually find any reference to the Wicklow Killer. So if anyone wants to come on there, anybody wants to come on there and have any information on the Wicklow Killer, well then, Graham Reynolds had his best 5 pound sea trout on this fly. So basically what I'm going to tie it on here is a size 14. Now, in Malone's book, he recommends it from a 10 to a 12, but we can get away with a 14. I would anyway. So size 14, 302 the Hackle hook there. And we're going to use some Kevlar thread to tie this one. So as I say, whenever there was a little colour on the river home in the Avonmore, the Wickham's Fancy, and this would be a style of a fly very similar to the Wickham's. You know, it's probably is the truth be known, it could be even a variation of the Wickham's Fancy. Now, you're going to have to forgive me for 1 second. I actually left my scissors on the table just behind me. I'm going to get it, and I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. And we're back. Sorry about that. That's the good thing with live shows. Anything can happen. Anything can happen here. Yeah, Graham, that is another great book. I have that one downstairs as well. So, okay, a little bit of Kevlar. For the tail, we just got a little bit of red game here. A little bit of red game. I'm going to tie that in. And effectively, you know, I do often think back, and myself and Dave have often had plenty of conversations. I can't drink. No, sorry. Have the bottle of water here. It's January, no less. Have the bottle of water here, Graham. So it was a long Christmas, even though I had an hour drop last night. No, all right, but it was a long Christmas, so I'm going to take a little break for a little while. But we often, myself and David often have conversations, or even with my dad, and effectively the way we used to fish wet flies back then, especially flies like this and the Wickhams and all that, it was almost similar to streamer fishing. Large size 12. I can remember my uncle Colin fishing, size 12, size 10 butchers and stuff like that, Wickhams, Wicklow killers and stuff like that. And it's going on, Trevor. It's and fishing them downstream and stripping them back up along the margins and stuff like that. And it is very similar to what modern day streamer technique we would be using. Big, large, flashy flies, and so I'm going to tie in a fine oval gold rib and make sure it's on the side of the hook away from you. Okay, so that's when we go to wind it on. We don't disrupt the. So, got a little bit of orange floss here, and we're going to tie that in for the body. Wet fly fishing, if anybody has any questions, by all means, shout them across. If I don't have the answers for you, I'm sure there is going to be, I know Dave is online there, and Tom Ankertel, and a few other, very, very well schooled wet fly men that will throw a couple of answers across to us. So by all means do. This is a typical point fly for wet fly. I would always fish this on the point. I'm going to take that floss up the body now. Good wet fly. Normally you'd fish this on a tree fly cast, depending on the size of the river, depending on the time of the year. Fish it on a tree fly cast on the point with maybe one or two spiders coming behind it. Fantastic fly. And I would also I have tied this fly over the years with a very small 2mm tungsten bead there. Yeah, Robbie, absolutely. Robbie Phelan's on there from Kilmallock, and he's saying upstream wets can be very productive, and they can, fishing. And I remember years ago, Dad telling me to do that, on the Avonmore, which is a very bouldery, most people that know the Avonmore, rocky kind of river, and at that head of the rock, in the front of the rock where the current is meeting the rock, that's a real key point for, a real key lie for good trout. And Dad would always say, fish it up behind the rock, fish it up in front of the rock and strip it back towards it, and kind of, it gets sucked down into it, and you'd always pull a trout out of there, So I can remember even as a young lad watching Dad fishing up the river with the spiders and getting great success on it. So I just got a little bit of red game hackle going in there, a little bit of cock hackle. And it was great, to see so many fish being caught in Thomastown this year on spiders and wet flies. Great to see some anglers. I know I watched Marius and Darius there for a session at one stage down in Ballygannon Beach, and it was absolutely fantastic to see them wet fly fishing and lads wet fly fishing, and using the skill, because it is a different way to fish. It's I kind of jumped ahead a bit on that second turn of hackle, so let's go back a bit. It is a different way to fish. There is technique to it. Some people can become very frustrated with it because you can tend to meet an awful lot of fish and not necessarily land them all. So it's something that does take a bit of practice and little bit of skill and stuff. That you want to put a bit of time into it. So just trap that in there now with the rib is Dylan is fine uni French oval gold. And we're just going to wiggle that way up through the hackle. But your standard way of wet fly fishing is casting kind of across stream, slightly downstream, and letting them swing around. The fly line, I think Dave would kind of say, or most people would kind of say, is a fast glass intermediate, or a Kelly Green is your kind of traditional standard. You can fish them on a sink tip. You can fish them on a floating line as well if you want. It's it's worth. Hi Connor Cagney's on there. A little bit of a brush back on that hackle now, as you can see. Just get a little bit of a form back on that. And that's our little body and neckline. Now what I like to do here is I just tend to go in across the top and trim out some of those. Okay, don't cut them all out completely, but just trim out some. And basically I'm just making a nice little bed there for this wing to sit down on. The tail, Joe, is some red game. So it's just your natural red game cock. Okay, that's the tail. Same as the hackle. Um, Same as the hackle. Now for the wing for this one, in Joe Malone's book as well, and it is the correct tying. I know from tiny years ago. So Noel Shields, the guy who would have taught me how to tie flies, would have tied his fly. And I'm sure he would have told me. I'd love to know a bit more about the history of it. Um, he would have told me a bit more about the history of it, but I do remember the correct title. So the wing is mallard. It's a grey mallard. So I like to have that little bit of I use kind of a light coloured bronze really, and I'm just going to roll a little wing, as you can see there now. Just rolled a nice little wing. Hi Kevin Sean, good to see you. Good to have you on there, Kevin. Hope you're well and all the family's well. And I'm just going to tie that in over the top like so. Pinch it, pull up, come around the hook, and tighten up. Okay, a couple of turns then just to secure it. And there we got our little wing sitting in. Okay. Great summer's evening sedge pattern too, believe it or not. I've often had it on during the summer evenings and sedges and stuff like that. I remember having one great day on the Slaney, was it? One great evening on the Slaney. A couple of turns there just to neat everything up, clean everything up. And I'm going to put a little bit of red. Now, the actual good man Joe, he's man, likes me accent. Where are you from, Joe? Good question, Martin Fennessy. What kind of tippets are good for that? Well, look at it. Everyone has their own. Again, when it comes to tippet, everyone has their own preference of what they want to use. It's some people love the monofilaments, Drennan, Maxima. I'm not going back 200 years. I mean, like Uncle Colin, he used to fish 8 pound Maxima with 3 flies and the Avonmore, which is a difficult river the best of times. And Colin had great results. My dad won in All Ireland on the Avonmore fishing wet flies with probably 6 or 8 pound Maxima, with 3 flies. So it's yes, Graham, that's right. Yeah. Noel did live outside Ashford, just on Greystones, and the bypass ran through his house actually. So he moved down to for the last couple of years of his life, he moved down to Wexford into Bunmahon. And that's where he was actually. That's where he spent the last time. He worked on RT. So what I did there was just give a little bit of a red colour to that thread, just to whip finish on that. Clear it away. And there you have it. The Wicklow Killer. Beautiful wet fly. I can tell you now, if you had a bit of colour in a river, and you had a colour in a river, and you start fishing, that down and across on a bit of streamy water. If there's a trout there interested in eating something, he's going to have a whack at that. Really good traditional wet fly, traditional Irish wet fly, born in the Wicklow Hills. Definitely as a kid growing up, that was probably Waterford. Did I say Wexford, Christopher? Sorry. Waterford, you're correct. Waterford, actually. So there, Dave is on there. He's inclined to keep the tippet stiff, seldom less than 4 pound. Graham Lanigan's on there. Ultra Green, yeah. Ultra Green is, yeah, absolutely. Worked for years. But, something like that there will definitely take a fish, no question about it. Lovely fly. And I say between that now and the Wickham's Fancy, which is a very similar time to it. The Wickham, Hang on, Graham. Yep, absolutely won't be disappointed with that one, lads. And definitely, I'm actually going to start tying a few wet flies for myself now over this month and get that wet fly box reinvented. And there's going to be a few Wicklow killers in it, I can tell you that now, and a few Wickham's Fancies and stuff like that. Flies like that should never be forgotten. And I will, at some stage, I'll make a few phone calls to some of the older Wicklow fly tyers and fly fishers, maybe Stuart McGrain or someone like that might be able to enlighten me on a bit more information about that pattern. It's one that definitely belongs in the history books, and it's a cracking fly. So I hope you enjoyed that one, and give it a swim in the spring. You'll be gladly You did. Okay, so we're going to move on and we're going to do another wet fly. Now, let me sort myself out here. And we're going to stick to that kind of orange theme, okay? This is one. Everybody knows this one. And if you don't, you should know it, okay? Partridge orange. Partridge orange. What a wet fly. What a fly, full stop. Absolutely one of the top spider patterns, wet fly patterns that's ever been invented. So simple and it's so simple and just forgive me for 1 second there now. I'm just gathering up my old bits here in front of me of what I need for this. So simple in its tying. Yeah, Trevor, you're absolutely right. The old flies are no longer used, and yet they work. They still do work. They still do work, and it's a shame. And an awful lot of younger generation of fly fishers and fly tyers nowadays, they just don't put any attention into their wet flies. But yeah, I've met some of the top competition guys all over the world over the years, and they always say, and I'd be the same, and anyone else I know that'd be into the competition scene, never go anywhere with a wet fly box. It's there is days when the wet fly will outfish the nymphs. There's no question about it. I say we saw the evidence of that in Thomastown this year, and here we go, found ducks. They were hiding on me. We saw the evidence in Thomastown this year when at least 50, 60, 70%. Yeah, Colin McGarrett it's deadly anywhere it goes. Partridge and orange. So what we're going to do with this one, we're actually going to tie it with a bead, okay? So we're going to use a 303 size 14. We're going to use a 303 size 14, and I'm going to get out a 2mm countersunk gold bead. So having a little bead on your wet fly, I can remember years ago, Jimmy Maher, anyone, a good few of you will know Jimmy Maher there from the shore. A good few years ago, back in '93, Tom Ankertel will correct me on the date. Was it the '93 final, Tom? I think it was of the that program you have. Was that '93 or '91? I think it was the '93. Well, Jimmy Maher would have stayed. Would have stayed in our house. We had a guest house up in Rathdrum at the time, and Jimmy Maher would have stayed there with Philip. I think Pat Noonan, you were there, and Eamon Wilson stayed there. There were 4 guys that stayed in our house. And I remember the night before the All Ireland, the boys were playing. I was 16 at the time, and it was my first All Ireland. It was my first All Ireland. But Jimmy was kind of showing me a few things on the voice, and I remember him seeing him taking the labels off the brandy bottles up near the neck, the bit of lead foil, and he'd cutting it down with a blade, and he winding it into his wet flies to get that little bit of absolutely grime. Yeah, he is a fantastic angler, Jimmy, and to get a bit of weight into the fly to get it down to the level of trout, and that was the first time I ever really experienced anybody putting weight on a fly. Just a brandy bottle, and so it was. That was the first time. But having a little bead on the point fly is something definitely worth doing. Can just get that fly down to the level of where the trout are. Now, what we're going to do here is add a little bit of copper wire. And for the body of this, now, I noticed you can use flosses and different things like that. Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Too, it is. It's a fantastic fly when the sherry spinners are starting to drop. What I use for the body, and some people do, is some. This is onion bag, okay, for the orange for the body. Onion bag is great. Great material for the partridge orange. You can use flosses. I use some flosses as well. I'd often use for a bit of a brighter one if I'm fishing in more coloured water. I'd use some of the Tommy Fly UV reflective, or I can use an orange floss. But the onion bag is quite good too. And if you're doing a black and orange, the onion bag is pretty tasty for that as well. So we're just going to tie in a little bit of orange. Onion bag. It gives a lovely, smooth, very slick body to the fly. And we're going to start just building our body. So I hope everyone's keeping well and everyone's having a good new year, start to the new year as best as it can be. It's certainly looking like we're going to be stuck with COVID for just another little while. Um, so I'm kind of wrapping it up the body, down the body, because it's slightly translucent and I want just a nice beefy little body on this here. Looks like we're going to be stuck with COVID for another while, so we'll keep this going here anyway, Piscari. Graham Lanigan, yeah, absolutely. Gone from, told you I'm very resourceful, Graham. Gone from quality streets to tape cassettes to onion bags. See, anything's usable in fly tying. That's the thing, like. Anything is useful in. There you go. Tom Anketel was saying he's on. Joe, do I do any sour? Tom Anketel was on there just saying that Dave was the first person he ever saw using beads on wet flies. But I think, Dave, sometimes you might put a tail on that as well. Sometimes, do you? And I've seen some of your wets that might have a little, your partridge orange that have a little tail on it. But Joe, I do a little bit of salmon fishing, not much. Used to do a good bit one time, but not much anymore. The trout fishing is kind of taken over. So I don't really do a whole lot. Like James Gibson, yeah, lemon bags are absolutely great. If you're doing a partridge and lemon, what do I use? Lemon bags. Absolutely fantastic. Hey, Lorraine. Lorraine's on from France there. Got your email there, Lorraine. Thanks a million for that piece of information. I'll email you back there later on. I was just getting ready to come online. But I hope you're keeping well over in France. Hopefully we'll get over to see you this year. Please God, fingers crossed that we'll get some kind of a summer. But yeah, lemon bags are fantastic. You can use not only lemon bags, but you can also use if you get the Mandarin bag, the black Mandarin bag. You see some Mandarin oranges coming in. Gianluca's on there. I was talking to Gianluca actually on the phone there earlier on, and he had an idea, and we said, "Look, we'll go with it." So Gianluca's anniversary is on Monday. Gianluca's anniversary is on Monday of how many years he's been living in Ireland. So Gianluca said for tonight, fair play to him, that anybody who can guess how many years Gianluca has been living in Ireland will win. He will post you out some flies, some of his top nymphs. Okay? So anybody want to dare to take a guess how many years on Monday has Gianluca been living in Ireland? Correct answer, win some of Luca's cracking nymphs, and they're cracking nymphs, guys. Okay? So thanks a million for that, Luca. Happy anniversary on Monday. And get guessing. First person to guess the correct answer, win some of his prizes, win some of his fantastic nymphs. Don't mind me here now for a second. I'm just rooting through some partridge hackle bags that I have here with all the small wet fly stuff in, and as I tend to grade it a bit when I get capes and stuff like that. So a few years coming in there now. There's 13, 15, 21. Shane O'Callaghan says 18. Colin 5, 10. First person in. Now, Luca, you keep an eye on that there now, because I'm going to be tying some flies here. So, Luca, as soon as you see the first answer, and by the way, I know over Christmas special there was a few things there when we actually had some of the prizes and stuff like that. Some people felt that they were quicker on the buttons than others. The stream I have up here in front of me is a congregation of a lot of streams. There's some watch parties. It's streaming on several different pages. So while you might be watching it on one page, there's other people watching another page. So you might think that actually when you put it up, Dave Donovan says between 1 and 100. Oh man, Dave. So when you actually put it up, your answer, you might think that it came up first before someone else's, but all the stream gets linked back to my page. So there's a few answers getting fairly close there now, lads. I can see some close answers. Anyway, just tying in a little bit of partridge there. And that's the one thing about partridge, is they can be pretty brittle. 1.5 turns is plenty. Anybody get that correct answer? Yes, Gianluca. So I'm just going to go in here and just take out that little bit of stem. And there we have it. And that's why I like using the Kevlar for this particular fly. Then when we get up working around the bead, it doesn't take up too much space in behind the bead and leave you with a big chunk of thread. And we want those hackles kind of portraying out. We don't want them falling back on. So Gianluca says, no, nobody's got it yet, guys. So keep guessing. Robbie, the question is, how many years has Gianluca been living in Ireland? It is his anniversary on Monday. There's lots of close answers. Oh, Kieran Sherlock. See that there, Luca? Kieran Sherlock, I think, hit the magic number. Kieran Sherlock was the first in there with 30. Gianluca's here, 30 years living in Ireland. And he's going to send out some flies. So, Kieran Sherlock, you were the first one up in my stream. And well done. I will get your information over to Gianluca. And he'll get you out some cracking names. So there you go. Partridge and Orange, my take on it. Lorraine is there saying that Lorraine from France is on there. He's the manager of the French European team, and the Partridge and Orange, good wet fly in France, grayling a trout. Absolutely. I think, the Partridge and Orange, Lorraine, is one of those things that you just can't be without, Robert Flaherty was first, says Gianluca. Well, look, I'll check back on my stream. I think, Robert, I'll check back there now, Luca, because, as I said, people are watching on several different streams here. So my stream is the congregation of everybody. So I'll say Kieran Sherlock was in first with 30. Darius then had 22. Thomas Ankertel 5. Martin Fennessy was 31. Then Robert Flaherty came in. So unfortunately, the winner is Kieran Sherlock. Kieran Sherlock won that one there. Luca, he was the first one in with the correct answer on the main feed here. But there's a spider pattern, lads. Well worth checking out. You can. Hi Patrick Lyons. Hi Lucas. Thanks very much. Good man, Paul. Yeah, Michael, you're absolutely right. Michael Callaghan, very good friend of Gianluca. Didn't know it. Michael, yeah, you've got some making up to do there. But there's a great wet fly pattern, great point fly, and one that will absolutely, on any given day, take trout. It's fantastic. That's a fly that I'd often be your own infant as well. Like, hi Patrick Lyons. That I'd have one of my right. Okay, I'll go back and have a look at that after that. I'll go back and have a look afterwards on that that feed and see who was the first person to come in with 30. We'll make sure to get the prize in it. I'll go back on that because we'll keep going with the show for now. Don't worry, I'll go back on it later on, guys, and we'll make sure the winner gets out the prize. According to my feed, it was Kieran, but we'll have a look at it back later on there. I can have a look back while the guest hire is on. But anyway, look, there's a fantastic wet fly. You can fish it with a tail. And I say I'd often Euro if I'd have that on the dropper, and then have a tungsten bead, a normal tungsten bead, a pheasant tail nymph or whatever up on. Yeah, Dave, they are very competitive. Yeah, I did, Sean. Yeah, absolutely. Just put it on there. And hi, Phil Johnson and Enniskillen. Hope you're well. I just put it on there. Yeah, I don't strip off one side or anything. I just leave both sides on it, and yeah, I'm happy enough with it. But there you go. There's a really good. Colin O'Gara reckons we need VAR. VAR in the oak, yeah. But we'll sort that out later on, as I said. But there's another lovely little spider pattern that's really worth having in the box going forward. And you can tie the lemon and partridge very same. I tie all of them partridges. You put whatever colour body you want. A soft hackled wet fly like that, trout aren't going to refuse it. They're going to love it, It can, Declan Noon, the rib can slip on the body of the fly. And that's partly the reason why I also put on 3 layers. It gives a little bit more depth to the body. And when I'm ribbing it then, a really good tight rib can help. And if you're still struggling, a little drop of varnish there, because that onion bag won't change colour under a little bit of varnish there if you want to keep it in. But, I'm happy enough with that. If I get 10 trout on that and then the rib starts to slip, I'm pretty happy now. If I can hit 10 fish and then the rib starts to dip, I'll just stick. They're so quick to run off, you stick on another one. Good partridge there is worth having as well. The right size partridge, and that's that little fly. Don't forget, tomorrow morning I'm going to put up a question, as we always do. I will put up a question, something in relation tonight, some random question. As you all know, they can be very random, and nothing too difficult. Normally, the first or second answer in is the winner. Tomorrow morning or tomorrow mid-morning at some stage, I'll put up a question in relation tonight, and you can win all the flies tied tonight and any ones that I had a warm-up of just before we came online. Right. Well, we got some good... other flies, wet flies to come, some really good patterns through after this, and probably one of the best wet flies for catching big trout coming up as well. But now we're going to head to a special guest. So, my very good friend, Alessandro Fresche from Italy, who came on and left a little bit of a note for you all at the Christmas special, came on and since then has said that he would tie his Sarka nymph, which, believe you me, is not something you're going to see every day. It is probably one of the best river nymphs ever created. He's going to go through the tying of that fly, which he knows. This is no Paul Jenkins. There's no barbed hooks and competitions. It's all barbless. But Miles Riley, yeah, absolutely. The temperature can determine what level the fish are on. Anyway, checking the temperature of the river. And there's another thing just came to mind about wet fly fishing too. It's a great way to search out a river. You know, if you've got a long, large beat of water and you're wondering where are the pockets of fish, swing and wetsuit cover a vast amount of water very quickly. Where if you're nymphing, euro nymphing, or dry dropping, you're a lot slower before you find those pockets of fish. So wet fly fishing can be very productive, not just in putting fish on a score, but locating pockets of fish where you can come back and target them then with some other method or whatever, you know. So it can be really good in like September and later season, or even early season, to source out those pods of fish before they dispersed into their summer lives. You know, definitely something worth considering if you're struggling to meet fish on a particular piece of water. Swing some wets and see where they get. But anyway, so Alessandro Fresche sent me some videos of doing the dubbing, the mix of dubbing he uses, the nymph he uses, and tying it. Now, it's in Italian, so unless you're fluent in Italian, Gianluca, it is going to be difficult to understand. But, you know, the visual is enough, trust me. The visual is enough. Had a look of it. This is not something you're going to see every day. So I'm going to hand you over now to my very good friend in Italy, and he is going to take you through the tying of his Sarka nymph. Really enjoy this one.
Ciao Peter, tanti auguri di buon anno nuovo a voi tutti e agli amici di Piscari Fly. Oggi, 1 gennaio 2021, colgo l'occasione di farvi questo video che gentilmente mi aveva richiesto sia Peter che Dave, e in particolar modo parleremo di due ninfe che abbiamo incontrato e utilizzato, conosciuto diciamo, sul fiume Sarka, le Sarka Nymph. Farò vedere anche alcuni dei mix che servono e che utilizzo per fare le mie mosche, magari niente di nuovo, ma solo la mia interpretazione. Questi sono i colori che vengono utilizzati, più o meno sono i materiali che poi utilizzo per quasi tutte le mie creazioni. Queste sono le mie personal box e ora passeremo a parlare della Black Nymph Sarka e della Brown Sarka Nymph. Bene, questi i corpi per la Brown Sarka Nymph e grosso modo le quantità e proporzioni che dovreste utilizzare per i vostri mix. Una volta mixati, questo sarà il risultato. Bene, una volta mixato, il risultato sarà questo. Bene, una volta che abbiamo ottenuto il nostro mix, andiamo a costruire la nostra ninfetta. Amo del 14, tungsteno del 3,5. Andiamo a dare un bloccaggio alla pallina con la nostra super glue in maniera che rimanga lì. Red spot, non esagerando. Perfetto. La nostra codina di fagiano. Tanto quando la chiudiamo se ne mangerà un po' della lunghezza e sarà perfetta. A questo punto andiamo a prendere il nostro mix. Sono linfe che devono essere alquanto vaporose. Diamoci un aiutino con un attimo di cera. Andiamo a dargli un po' di volume e gli diamo una torsione. Una volta che il materiale ha preso, andremo a andare alla nostra silhouette. Siamo stati un po' corti. Appena appena. E qui siamo quasi alla nostra meta. A questo punto dobbiamo effettuare un altro mix, che è il collarino crema, ok? E Angelina perla. Qui andremo a buona quantità di Angelina, faremo il nostro mix. E andremo a fare il collarino tenendo sempre materiali molto vaporosi, che avranno così una miglior torsione quando poi li andiamo a posizionare. Riprendiamo. Bene, qui c'è qualcosa che ci rompe le palle. Perfetto. Andiamo a bloccare il thread di montaggio senza tirare, che ci serve di sostegno a questo che sarà la parte fine. Superclub. Perfetto. È la presa, è la diretta. A questo punto eccola qui.
We're back on. Sound is back. Sorry about that there again, lads. Yeah, I know everyone's going to put up messages now, no sound. But anyway, there was Alessandro Fresche from Florence in Italy. Very good friend of the Irish. Has been for a long time. We've travelled many places together over the years. And it's that nymph is a classic. That is a phenomenal nymph. You can see how loosely he tied it. I know it's an Italian, but that's not an often thing you're ever going to see. Is Alessandro Fresche tying his Sarka nymph. An absolute lethal fly. Brown, natural, black. They're all lethal flies. Really rough, sparsely tied. And that's the way they're supposed to be tied. Fantastic. Fantastic nymph, fantastic fly fisherman. And well worth having a strip or a couple of strips of those in your box. I can tell you, they catch a lot of fish. So hope he's enjoyed that one. Great thing to have Alessandro Fresche on there. Thanks a million, Alessandro, for sharing that with us. Really appreciate it. So following on from that, we're going to move on now. I know Dave has a question there at some stage. Thanks, Paul Jenkins. Paul Jenkins is on there. Everyone's telling me hit that button. I hope he's going to all hear me now. Fine. Dave has a bit of a trivia question for you there now shortly. So we have a nice prize to give away whenever you want to bang up that trivia. And this week's prize is going to be a selection of Parapost, Pescari Fly Parapost. Okay, so you got 5 different colours. High-vis Parapost. You got your hot orange, your hot pink, your white, your fluorescent yellow, and your chartreuse. Dave says his questions coming. This is all Pescari Fly stuff. You can get it on our website. Check it out. But the lucky winner tonight is going to get themselves a full set of that. Posted out to them on Monday. So we're going to continue on tying. And what we're going to go on to next is a fly. And I can vividly remember the rationale for fishing this particular spider pattern. It was drummed into me years ago, as my Uncle Colin would have said, that whenever you're on the river and a shower of rain comes, this is the only fly you put up, he says. And don't put up one of them. He says, put up 3 of them. And that's what he used to do. So the black and silver, okay, a simple black and silver spider during a shower of rain is absolutely demolishes that river. Okay. Dave's question's in there. Name the four current Interpro River champions. So who is the 4 provincial river champions that currently hold at the moment? Now, obviously, there was no provincial championships in 2020. So you're going to have to go back to 2019. First person in there on the feed, the 4 interprovincial Taffy River champions. Who are they? First answer in there, Dave. You keep an eye on that, and we'll get time. So anyway, back to the black and silver. It is taffy, Dennis Taffy. Back to the black and silver spider. What a fly, and absolutely the truth. If you're fishing in a shower of rain on a piece of water and you stick up the black and silver, you definitely will start catching fish on them. They're absolutely fantastic. I fished them, still do. All my all my all my years of fly fishing always had black and silvers. So this one's a little bit of a tweak on the traditional one that we would have fished back in the day when we would have bought them in Jerry Powers, Power Sound and Arklow. A simple black and silver spider. Nothing else really on it but that. But this time I've added a few little things on this particular pattern that have proven to be very good for me over the year. And this is one really worth having. This is one really worth having in the box. So what I'm going to start off here was a little bit of Tommy Fly UV reflective hot red tying thread. Now, previously to having Tommy Fly, I would have always used. Sorry, I actually shouldn't have cut off that waist. I would have always used Glow Bright, but Glow Bright's very heavy. So I now only use this is size 14302 the Haku, by the way, and I've got a 2mm tungsten bead on that there as well. Now I used it's just a Tommy Fly, so much easier because it's so fine. We're going to lap back up that tag end to stop anything from slipping down the hook. Deadly and a blessing in the lake, says Eugene Fagan. It is. And, most of these wet flies and spiders, even stocky bashing, lock style, they're flies you just have to have. Like, they're fantastic flies. They catch a lot of fish. I know I tie a lot of spiders for Killarney anglers, and well worth having a selection box. And there's not too much to tie in them, Graham Lonigan saying Dave is not doing the questions anymore. So I think next week, Dave, you're going to have to make it a little bit easier for Graham. Good man, Graham. But it's well worth sitting down over the winter months, tying yourself a box, because it's not going to take a whole lot. It's not going to take it's not going to take a whole lot to tie a box of wet flies. I really do enjoy tying spiders and stuff like that. I'm going to switch over to a little bit of Kevlar here now. And we're going to tie in a silver rib. We'll find the end of the silver wire. I'm going to make a new end. That's what they're saying. I found it there now. Well, plenty of guesses coming in there now on Dave's quick trivia. So, tying in a little bit of silver wire there. Now I tie in a heavyish enough silver wire because not only is the silver wire there to support the tinsel body, but it's also I like the rib. I like kind of a protruding rib effect on this particular fly. So I've got some jewel mylar here, size 14, a medium, and we're going to tie in our silver body. And we're just going to leave that little red tag at the butt showing. Make sure you have a nice flat underbody there. Anyone coming close there yet? Paul Jenkins reckons Google's getting hammered. I don't think going to find too many. You might find some of the answers on Google off that one. So now we're going to rib up that body. Overlapping turns. Right up to the bead. Now I actually have just a little bit of the wrong kind of. I'm going to add a couple of more turns of thread in there just to get up to where I want to go. Just that underbody needs to be as level as possible for a kind of a tinsel body like that. And then we're going to whip finish. But don't get too tight in behind that bead. And I'm going to show you why now in a second. Okay? With your thread and stuff. Take your wire and give it a nice rib. And I can still remember days, down under Avondale, fishing spiders, maybe just standing in the river. Back then we hardly, I was a young lad. The Avonmore was quite a dangerous river. Those that have fished it, it's quite dangerous. And back then we only had little thigh waders. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to whip finish off that. we only had little tie waders, and it was like a skating ring, you know. So I'd often go fishing, and Colin or Dad would put me in one spot, and you could be there for an hour or two till you either got the courage to move, or they came and moved you. So why we don't go too tight in behind that bead is I want to get that bead pushed back a little bit, make a little bit of room ahead. The hackle's going to go on the outside of this head, okay? So it's going to go between the bead and the eye. Get our thread back in there and get it started. Let's pull it out. A couple of turns there. That's the best thing with Kevlar too. You can really get a lot of turns in a very small space, and it doesn't overbulk it. Now, again, a little shove back on that turn a bit. Perfect. Now we got plenty of room there now. Lovely. Any winners yet, Dave? I think I see one. I'm not sure if it's the first one. I'm not going to open my mouth anymore. I'm going to, in relation to winners, but if there is a winner, now we're going to just get a bit of black cane here. And I'm just going to search through this little hole. As you can see, this cape has been well raped at this stage. So, good question, Eugene. Silver holographic or I never really tried much of a holographic for this one. It was always your flat uni mylar silver. That one there. I'm sure the holographic would work, but I've never tried it. Is it something that you fished yourself, Eugene, that you found it to be better than the plain silver, or is it I was actually looking at this cape earlier on, and I did see it there. So one nice one left for this. So we're just going to strip a little bit of that back. This fly has exceptional movement in the water, you know. It's absolutely fantastic because of our bead placement. So we're just going to tie that in there. Don't cut off the stem just yet. And we're going to tie our hackle just there between the bead. A couple of turns of Kevlar there just to secure that in. You're working in a small space there, so just take your time. Now you can, and it's quite effective to fish it, to tie that. Very good, Sean. Sean started fishing with the holographic last year and had some really good sea trout. It is a good sea trout fly as well. You can tie it with the bead out in the foremost point. The reason why I wanted to tie it this way is I just wanted to show you why I do it this way sometimes. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm just making sure I don't cripple everything here. There we go. Couple of turns in there. Nice fine little working space there between that eye and that bead. But what there you go, Tom. I won't tell anybody that, Tom. Tom says that's his favourite fly for the Mallow Open, but we're not allowed to tell anyone, so good man, Tom. It's a great wet fly pattern. You know, when you tie it like that with the bead between the hackle and the eye, what that basically gives, when that gets wet and it starts to pull through the river, the pulse and effect of that hackle is just phenomenal. You know, it doesn't cloak in, or it will come in around the body slightly. You'd be quite surprised, but it won't completely cloak that body where sometimes it can with a hen hackle going in against that. So you know you get that, but also when you're strip pulling that, 6-inch pulls or whatever, or figure of eighting, that hackle comes through water like that. It's absolutely fantastic. Really good. Stops it from completely folding in on that. Stops it from completely folding in on the body. And there you have it. Black and silver variation of an absolute cracking trout fly, wet fly. You know, the likes of those flies there, you know, those couple, the partridge and orange, that black and silver, you know, the black and silver, you know, their flies just shouldn't be without, you know, coming on. They're absolutely fantastic. If you're planning on getting back into your wet fly fishing, which I recommend you all do, and I'm going to do it this year too, you know, we're going to have a slow start to the season, no competitions, man. Perfect time to tie yourself a nice little box of spiders and get out there and let them swing and trick around with them. And I think, you know, as regards when that fly hits the water, what do you do? An awful lot of people ask that. You know, do you mend upstream to let them penetrate a little bit? You know, the whole lot. I think, you know, Dave has often tell me, just leave them alone. Just put them across the river. give it one or two pulls to straighten it, and just let him go. Let him swing around naturally. And on the retrieve, then you can figure a way to strip them back up. Depends, or sometimes it's not even worth doing that. Depends on where your target area is for the trout kill zone. Like it could be on the far side of the river, so there's no point you wasting time stripping back up your near side if you've already fished it. And so it's a great little pattern to have, the bead in between the hackle and the eye. Yeah, definitely well worth having the box. Anyone got the answer to that one yet, Dave? Or are they still guessing? I thought I saw a correct answer a while back there, but we'll have a look at it later on anyway. If not, so you'd have it. There's another cracking little wet fly pattern. One for the box next year. If anybody has any questions or anything like that at all, bang them up there on the. I know Tom O'Connor gave a great little tip there when we were just starting off with Alessandro about an English angler he controlled. He controlled in an international, and Mike Tynan, I think, was it, and a fantastic wet fly man, and he used to hold the rod high and watch for takes. Really, some really good information there. Okay, we're going to move on to a spider pattern now that we would renown, myself and the kind of lads I would fish around with, as a wet fly for catching big fish. This one always seems to get the big ones. And it's one really worth having in your box. And it's based, and most of these patterns are all based on, really old traditional patterns. So this is based on the Snipe and Purple, but a little bit of it, again, a little bit of Robbie Berry wants to know, Dave, where would you even find the answer for that question? I think I'm nearly sure I saw a winner there at one stage, and I'm going to whiz back there now for 1 second and see if I can see that person again. No, it was close, all right. Yeah, a lot of people there with 3. So it's based on the Snipe and Purple, the Snipe and Purple, but it's got a little couple of things to it. Again, can be tied with a bead, and we're going to tie this one with a little bead, but also can be tied without a bead. Okay. So Michael, how would you fish wet spiders on smaller rivers? Good question. Hello, Alessandro. Hope you enjoyed your video. It went down really well. Thanks very much for went down a tree. Thanks very much for sharing that fantastic fly pattern. I know I've had lots of success with that one over the years. So on a smaller river, Michael, it's just shorten everything up. Maybe switch to 2 flies, even single wet fly. Fish upriver, fish. Just let them swing across. Keep down low. Keep in tight to the bank. Keep tight to the bank, and don't just fishing down on the yard. Definitely fishable. So we're going to put a little gold bead on this. Dave says you have a winner. Good man. Someone got it anyway. Good man. Well, congratulations to the winner, Dave. You can let me know, and whoever the winner is will win that pack of. I'm just taking out a 2 mil size gold bead here. We'll win that pack of Piscari. Kieran Riley, a 5 packs of Piscari high-vis parapost on the way to you Monday morning. That's that. So let's move on. What trail of thought was I in there now for a second? Anyway, we're going to put a small bead on this one. And we're going to use a bit of uni purple tying thread. Very simple. As you know, most of these little spider patterns, little wet fly patterns, if any of you are into wet flies, you'd be well aware of the North Country spider patterns. There's a couple of really good books out there on it. It's something worth doing a little bit of work on. I'm looking for a bit of copper wire here. And I'm going to take that body just to the bend of the hook. Back up. So we're going to be witches for the next couple of weeks again still. Season starts for a lot of people on February, and we'll probably keep going probably till the end of February. I think we're going to be in lockdown. The hook on that one, Graham Connolly. Sorry, it's that one is a 303. So I use the 303 14 a lot for my spiders. Okay, that's the Mr. Haku 303 14. As you can see, the hook there, it's very similar to a B160. Obviously barbless. So Sean, this is a purple spider, and I'm going to tell you about yeah, Dave, the water hen boa is an absolutely cracking spider as well. Going to tell you what the hackle is in this one in a minute. Well, the purple body anyway, it's a purple wet fly. You'll see in a second. It's probably a variation of the purple snipe. So, but I use those shortish kind of shank, lovely bra, lovely wide gape. That's why Dave asks those questions, Robbie Berry. You can't find him on Google. He loves to torment us. So lovely wide gape, and I think just leaves that lovely freedom of I get a little bit more personal confidence out of it, of having that little bit wider gape on my wet flies. So I'm going to rip that up there now with. Rip that up there now with and another good time to really wet fly fish. When you got big long flat water, and you got that wind, that blustery breeze on a spring day or an autumn day blowing downstream. A team of wet flies fished on that kind of water there. It's you'll catch an awful lot of fish. So there's lots of I know Dave actually, and I'll tell you, I'll put up the link after this on the page, on the Facebook page. Dave did wrote a blog piece for us about 3 or 4 years ago now. I can't rightly remember, on my blog about wet fly fishing and his hot tips, his top 10 tips and stuff like that. So I'll repost that after the show tonight on Facebook, and you can go on there and read some of the the tips of presentation, identifying the good times of the year, times of the day, or whatever to fish it. So really worth a look, that one. So what we're going to use here now for the hackle and this is a bit of jungle cock. Okay, but we're going to use this stuff up here that's often overlooked. Okay, I'm going to take out one of those feathers. So we've always known that this is the fly. If you're fishing wet flies for a day, this is the one that will always catch the bigger fish. It's this particular spider. Great fly. And using these hackles, they're interesting. They've got that bit of white barn on it there and stuff like that, and they can be really attractive. Anybody have much experience using those hackles? Dave Toohey or any of those there? Have you much experience of wet flying with that jungle cock hackle? So we're going to take that around. 1.5 turns is normally my kind of rule of thumb for wet flies, unless they specifically have to be bulkier. Get in there and clean it out. Hold them back. Don't want too many turns in there between the hackle and the bead, because what will happen is Dave is there dead on piece. At the tail of a flat just before the water falls off, speeds up, is a hot spot for fish to hold up. And on wet flies there, in that kind of particular water, lads, with a breeze, you've got a great chance of locating some fish, absolutely. So I don't want to put too many turns in there behind that, between the bead and the hackle, because what happens is it builds up and it starts to crush down that hackle. We don't get that protruding hackle like I want to, so get a bit of pulsing on it. It's that's it there. That's the jungle cock and purple. Absolutely lethal wet fly, lethal spider pattern. Again, with it you can tie with a bead or without a bead. I just wanted to show you more. Thanks, Jonas. Good stuff. Jonas just left the voice and he's sitting down watching Flight Time. But really good spider pattern as well. And I just want to show as regards working around beads and stuff like that, a few little things to remember. That you don't overdo it when you're tying off that head in behind the bead, between the bead and the hackle, because what happens is it'll build up too much, crush down the hackle. You just won't get the same effect, of when that. So Michael, that was Unitread purple. I think we have it on the website there if anyone's looking for it. It's good color purple. Find it quite good, and doesn't overbulk that body. But that is a really, really good cracker of a fly. You know, Michael, you were asking about fishing small rivers. Like, you could go down little streams with the likes of that on a 16 or something and fish two of them, 2.5 foot apart on a small light rod, and, you know, a 6 or 8 foot leader. And, geez, you know, you will absolutely, you know, you'll stand a great chance. If they're on, like, you know, if they're on the wet flies. There is days when they're not on it, like nymphs. Just reading a message here. Thanks a million, Dennis. No problem. Dennis just reminiscing back about the Greenwell Spider, the Greenwell's Glory. What great flies, and the black and silver. Absolutely, and they're all we ever needed years ago in Ballymore, in fishing Ballymore. Same up in Wicklow. You know, there was only a handful of flies. What's the difference, Colin? They're just different looking, really. They'll behave different in the water. That's just one. I fished the snipe and purple as well. It was brilliant last autumn for us. Really good last autumn. But that's just one in particular that a pattern I wanted to show you is that can be very, very effective too. Is that one there? And as Dennis says, thanks for sharing. No problem at all, Dennis. I'm always glad to share a couple of patterns. Gets our juices flowing now. We're into January, tough old January it is. You know, lockdown. Oh, jeekish, it's just not to look forward to. Only for Mr. Trump is giving us a bit of entertainment online, it'd be even worse. But you know, it's a tough time of the year. So if I can share a few patterns to get the juices flowing, get everyone out there doing a little bit of time, build up those boxes for the new season. It's not too far away, lads. So fingers crossed we'll get out there. And get some flies tied between now and then. We're going to be witches for the next couple of weeks, every Saturday night, and we're going to be doing different flies every Saturday night. So what we're going to do next Saturday night is we have done an awful lot of river stuff over the last couple of weeks, and we did Nymph in November and stuff like that, and we don't want to forget about our lakes. We have as many lakes in Ireland as we have rivers, and it's just important to have the lakes box ready for the 15th of February. So next weekend, a few people have asked me over the Christmas. Yeah, Miles, absolutely. Yeah, around April, May, March as well. Like Dennis Gould's on there, but buzzer. So we're going to do some lake stuff starting next week. Okay. There's a few lads asking for a few lake flies. Dennis is on there looking for a few buzzers and stuff like that. So stick with us. A lot of technique is that we'll use tying lake flies or river flies can be transferred over into both disciplines. So we're going to do a few lake flies next week. Start off with a few lake flies and do some other thing like. Thanks a million, Declan. Right, we got one more left for you. And I'm going to do this one now because this is one I said I really wanted to share. I had so many patterns that I could have tied tonight. You know, a lot of them were mentioned there. Greenwells, different shades of different things. You know, and a lot of history behind a lot of spiders there over the years. But you know, it was kind of narrowing it down to what's my top 4 or 5 patterns that I just would have to have in my box if I was going to wet fly fishing on the 17th of March or any time in April, or you know, before the trout move into those pockets and stuff like that. You know, so this one is again heading down the road of the Wicklow Killer, a very traditional wet fly pattern. Fantastic pattern, and I have a little bit of I know there's an awful lot of variations of this out there, and I know the standard tying of it is a certain way, but I just do this little one. Robbie Berry's on there and wants to see some mayfly. Yep, that's absolutely no problem. I did some mayflies before. I think on the episode where we did for the Irish Fly Fair that week, I did some mayflies, but I can do some more. I absolutely can. Yeah, we'll do some mayfly and stuff like that. A bit more tying in, but I got some good patterns there that I'd love to share with us, and we'll do that. We'll do some of those on. So what we're going to tie here now, next week we'll do a few lake flies. What we're going to tie here now, I'm just getting my head around it to make sure I'm going to start right. What we're going to tie here now, what we're going to tie, Colin Healy, Kill Devil Spider, great fly. Tied 100 of them this year for lads up in Wexford. Kill Devil Spider is another great spider pattern. But what we're going to tie here is a hare's ear. Okay, hare's ear wet fly. Great fly. Great fly during the March Brown. March Brown hatches used to be a lot more predominant than you see them now. Very rare, I think. Anybody out there aware of any March Brown hatches that would be happening on their rivers in the spring? Great fly all year round. Works brilliant during the sage. I used to fish it at night and after dark when the rise kind of went off a little bit, and it was more pulling rather than dry flies, a young lad. And you'd always get a couple of fish on it. So really, really one worth having. Um, and I say it's up along that style of it's up along that style of wet fly that the likes of say the Wickham's Fancy, and it's old traditional tying river stuff. So this is what I used to do. So a little bit of partridge there. No, that's not good enough. Got a bit of partridge there. I'm going to have to root now for a bit of partridge proper. There we go. A little bit of partridge, brown partridge. I'm not looking for grey. I'm actually looking for more of a brown. No, let me go to that selection of partridge I have here. Yeah, Graham, the Wicklow Killer was a fly of the night. Thanks for that, Graham. Um, it was. It's a great old fly. Um, it served me well over the years. Uh, so I'm just looking for a little bit of brown partridge here, just to. My old partridge cape is getting fairly shook now at the moment. I have some really nice partridge on the way in from Italy. It should be in this week, I hope, and looking forward to that coming in. There's nothing nicer than opening up a brand new partridge. Anybody else get that? Maybe I'm just sad, but it's one of the nicest things to do. And I've heard other anglers say that as well. Nothing nicer than opening up a brand new partridge skin, tying a few spiders. So, got a little bit of brown partridge here now. I'm going to tie that in there as a tail. And this is on a 14, 302. I'm going to put a little copper ribbon there. Graham Connolly's there. They still get good hatches of March Browns on the River Tay in Scotland. Great stuff. I think I remember reading something over the last couple of years that here in Ireland, Graham, they haven't been quite as prolific. And I certainly, in my career of fly fishing on rivers, I haven't seen too many. It's supposed to be a fabulous looking fly. If anyone's online there with Google, maybe Google one and stick one up there on the feed. If anyone's got a picture of if anyone's got okay, and Kieran Sherlock there saying there's still a good hatch on the Annalee up in up around Louth area. Great to hear. Now for the rib, we're going to use a bit of our Sulky copper for this one. And we are going to put in some obviously hare's ear for the body. So what's everyone's New Year's resolution? Anybody got any good ones? Anybody started any resolutions and didn't? Yes, absolutely, Dennis, they do. And we did a jingler there a while back. Yeah, jinglers for the March Brown is absolutely correct for a dry fly. Jingler is a great fly in the spring, lads. Absolutely cracking fly in the spring. So, anybody start any New Year's resolutions that haven't lasted the first 7 or 8 days? I think just years ago I stopped doing the resolutions because, you know, you make a resolution in the depths of despair after Christmas, and you don't make life easy on yourself. So I just don't. Yeah, I don't. So I'm just going to rib that up now with a copper. Good man, Neil. There's a good one. Forget last year happened. That's his only resolution. That's good. That sounds like a good plan, Neil. Colin Healy's on. He said he's going to do more fly time. That's good. I'm going to give that a little bit of a brush out just to get that lovely body kind of, you can see it there just coming out, pushed out a little bit. Dennis Goulding said he only tied 9 flies of all last year. My God, Dennis, come on. Get stuck into him now this year, Dennis. And now what I'm going to do is put on a little wing. And what I used for the wing of this, that's a good one, Mikey. Mikey says he's going to do more fishing. Fair play, Mikey. Hopefully we'll see you in Thomastown to defend your title. There we go. Graham Connolly has just uploaded. That is the March Brown there, if anyone has never seen one. Beautiful, beautiful fly. March Brown is just up there in the feed. Thanks for that there, Graham. But yes, Mikey, I'll give you a shout as soon as those partridge skins are in. They're coming in from Italy this week. They're on the way already. So hopefully they'll be in soon. What I use for the wing of this is hen pheasant centre tail. Okay, now I know there's plenty of other options out there for wings, but for me it's hen pheasant centre tail. And in order to cut this off, now look, this is something we had to do. The roll hen centre, Dave is more streamer fishing. Good point, Dave. That's absolutely true. Maybe true. I said we're going to stop the live shows over the through the season because it does get crazy busy for me. And as much as I enjoy these two, Miles Riley learned to tie a few flies. Well, Miles, you're more than welcome down here anytime once the restrictions are lifted. Come down and spend a half a day with me here. No problem at all. I'm tying flies here all the time. And you're more than welcome to see him beside me, and I'll bring you on as far as I can. But we might do a couple of pop-ups over the fishing season. We might even do a bit of a live show in the middle of the river, maybe. Could be interesting. See how things go. And some even might do a couple of little live pop-ups here and there. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just taking a segment of the centre tail off the hen pheasant. And I'm going to just roll a wing. But in order to do that first, I got to marry it all back. And I got to stroke it out and get it all lining up. You're more than welcome anytime, Miles. And that goes for everyone. Everyone knows that comes down here to us in Pescari. We, always doors always open, the kettle's always on. You're more than welcome to come in there and sit with us and tie flies or any way we can help you out, guys, throughout the season. Any advice? So I put a nice slim slip of a wing on this. I don't overdress it with a wing, so you can see that that centre. That's a hen pheasant centre tail wing. It's not a massive big wing on it. But anyone's more than welcome. If anybody needs any advice, don't ever be afraid to pick up the phone. Give me a buzz, lads. If I can help you out or give you a bit of advice, by all means, you're more than welcome to give me a shout anytime. Okay. Now, what we're going to put on here is two little shoulder hackles. Okay. So I got a really light kind of tan brown here. It's off an old Indian hen cape, and it's this kind of brown up here that I'm going to use rather than the barred stuff here, I'd be a bit like you too, Dennis. While I tie an awful lot at the moment for orders and stuff like that, but definitely I need a little bit of encouragement too of a competition or something like that to really spark the juices and get going on the flies and stuff like that. So I have missed that. I know last year I certainly didn't tie a whole lot of flies myself either, Dennis. I didn't fish a single competition last year. First time since I was probably ever fly fishing. I haven't fished a competition in a year, but so I'm going to put in a little primary hackle on that first now. I know that would be quite a substantial March brown. I'd be quite happy when we use that brown hackle, or you can put a little bit of a natural partridge hackle on there. Again, like any pattern has developed over the years, there's plenty of variations out there online. Everyone's got their own little tweaks and stuff like that to what makes it theirs and effective for them. So again, don't be afraid to tweak it, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here now next. So I have a nice long strokey hackle back over that one, and now what I'm going to put in is another little shoulder hackle is some dyed olive partridge. And if Dave, two of you are still on there, I can remember years ago going down with Dad and all the Ratrum lads down to Mount Mellick when you guys used to hold some great Leinster championships down there. Remember them championships down there? God, they were fantastic. Back in the noughties, what competitions they were. They were great crack. We used to go down and stay over. They're great memories. But I can remember this using this particular fly down on the Barrow there in Mount Mellick, and we used to get some crack and trout over it. Wet fly fishing down along some of them, big open flats and stuff like that, and the wind howling down it, and Jesus, it'd be fantastic fishing, and you just see the splash of the trout in the wind wave, and your wet fly tighten up, and magic stuff. But what a river it was back then. They were great old competitions, great crack. I think one year there must have been nearly 15 of us or something went down from Ratrum. 14 or 15 of us went over there, and we met up with a gang of lads, and we had great crack. Those couple of Leinsters in around the late 90s and early noughties were fantastic. I know you were around. I met you on a few riverbanks there, Dave, that time. So a little bit of let me just take that. So it's golden olive, a little bit of golden olive partridge there. Now, if you don't have a bit of golden olive, you can use normal partridge. It's just as effective, I'm sure. But for me, it was just this particular fly, and just the way I tied it at the time and used it down in Moomelic. But I used it in Rathdrum an awful lot too, in different times of the year. I said I used to use it even during the sedges at night, and especially when the silver horns. We used to have a great hatch of silver horns in Rathdrum. And Jesus, fantastic fishing when they were on. So I'm just going to tighten up on that little head there. And I'm going to get in there now and just take away that little bit of waste. There we go. Lovely. It is, Robbie. It's a grand looking fly. And I tell you one thing, you wouldn't go wrong fishing that in a lake, I tell you either. Was definitely proved as it's now. Skipped ahead of myself a little bit of black pro marker on that thread there, black head on it, and does the trick. But there's another great tried and tested pattern over the years, lads. Over the years that I've used on rivers. Again, brilliant on that kind of wet out squally day. You know, it's a fantastic fly. Plenty of movement on it there. Really natural. You know, if the olives are on or the marsh browns are on that early season, it's a great fish, a great fly for you know, taking a couple of trout and a couple of decent trout. Really good. But you know, you can try that larger sizes as well and have it on a lock style. Definitely wouldn't have no problem there, like, you know. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Dave. Dave says, yeah, many moons ago, they were great competitions, great characters around then. Simon O'Mara and all them lads and the Quigleys and Tommy Quigley and all those. And Dave says, at one stage he thought he was in the middle of the week club, there's that many week club in. But wasn't it fantastic? Back then, the way the clubs, and we used to always travel. I know when we held a couple of, when we held a couple of Leinster championships then around that time, in Rathdrum, you know, it was great crack when all the Moomelic lads used to come over as well. And great old banter back then. Still is, lads, still is. We look forward to plenty more to come in time. I don't think we'll get a whole lot of competitions this year, but we look forward to meeting up the following year at the old competitions and have a bit of crack. And yep. So there we go, lads. Another great lads and ladies, should I say? Another great wet fly pattern, one that's been tried and tested over the years. Get a couple of them in the box. Well worth a swing in the spring, and that's what all I have for you tonight, guys. We're just back after January. Been a long Christmas. I think we're in for a longer January. So stay safe out there, everyone. Thanks a million for watching, and as usual, thanks a million for all your support, guys, over the Christmas and all through last year. I hope you all have a great new year. I hope 2021 is good for you all. I hope we all get out on the river at some stage and get some opportunity to meet up along the way, even for a bit of pleasure fishing or a bit of crack. As I said to Miles, you're all more than welcome down to the shop here anytime if you want to do a bit of fly tying or if you need any advice. Pick up the phone, give me a shout. No problem whatsoever. And if you're looking for any materials, check out our website at www.pescarifly.com. So have a great night. Thanks everyone again. And we will be back here live next Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. with some really good lake flies. And I tell you what I'm going to do first, Eugene Fagan. I'm going to tie that fly that caught those trout for me in the Corrib that day, that when I won the All-Ireland Lake Championships over in the Corrib back in 2012. There was a Green Peter version of a Green Peter I tied that day. That will be one of the flies we're going to do next week. A couple of other ones coming up. We might do a stimulator. Eugene was looking for a stimulator there during the week. So we're going to do some stimmies and stuff like that as well. So lots more to come in January. Saturday nights here with Pescari Fly live, lads. Thanks so much for all your chats and tips and bit of a banter. I look forward. I love these Saturday evenings. And I'll see you all next Saturday night. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you soon.